like 20 points on my notes after I watched the video.
I have 3 pages.
Yeah, so you have
There we
YouTube,
go.
you have pages. Oh,
I
the thing
told
is,
you we were
we
going.
started, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, okay. Hey, middle-aged gamers. We actually started a little bit earlier because we were talking about Horizon Hunters Gathering, which is the very first story. So stay tuned past my little 60-second intro, and then we will get into that because I was very excited. I'll let you listen, but you guys know Adam and you've watched him stream. You probably know how he feels about it. But on today's show, right, we are going to be talking about Horizon Hunters Gathering. I keep saying it's
Hunter's
not
Gathering.
Hunters Gathering, right? It's not. I wrote Hunting Grounds on my notes for
No,
some
it's Hunter's
reason.
Gathering.
Ugh. And then
I
and
just
it
like
might
the
be
fact that
talk
I don't like it and you do, and I'm the one that knows the name.
and it might be talking about the announcement of the state of play and whatever else he wants to throw in with that. Helldivers has a new announcement as well. On my side, if we have time, I want to talk about the end of the Outer Worlds 2 and my thoughts about that. Obsidian just announced that this week. Reduced parkour in Assassin's Creed franchises going forward. I thought that was really interesting. And my last story, I know a bunch of you guys were looking for like what are the best games on Steam. Terraria is up there with the recent 1.4.5 update. At the end of the show, Adam's question he'll be asking himself, or I'll be asking him, and you guys can answer as well, is what's a mechanic you've seen in the game that made you think every game should actually do this? And this week's ranking question is going to be Adam's going to be ranking RPGs that respect your time. And again, I've tried my very best from how I've known Adam to choose 10 games that I was going to say 99% sure, I'm 90% sure he's played all these games. And games that because we talk about a lot of games frequently because, I mean, we all have things that we like. So hopefully these are games we haven't talked about in a long time. But anyway, Adam, I'll let your 3 pages get started.
Yeah, I got a lot of notes. It was a long video. It was like 9 minutes long. So I mean, there's a lot to sift through. So yeah, Guerrilla Games just recently announced Hunter's Gathering, which is the multiplayer Horizon game that a lot of people, myself included, were looking forward to, and are now a lot of people are disappointed. Some people like it, but a lot of people are very disappointed because it is not looking like what we were expecting or what we were hoping for. So this does follow the events of Horizon Forbidden West, and this is one of the big points for me that's kind of irritating, is that it is canon, okay? So this is going to take place directly after Horizon Forbidden West, so a little bit of spoilers. At the end of the game, there's a big threat coming down to the planet, and Aloy sends her allies off to gather more allies to face it. So they're going to go out and spread out and meet the tribes and gather armies and everything to address this threat. And in the trailer, we see it from the perspective of Erend. He's the one who's giving the speech. He's the one who's the narrator of it. So there's a big focus on him, and we can tell it's at the end of Horizon Forbidden West because he has a focus, that little thing on the side of his head. He gets that in Forbidden West, so if he has one, it means it has to take place afterwards. And it looks like we're going to be chasing down Hephaestus, which is the protocol, the Gaia protocol that we went after in what was the DLC for the original one, Frozen Wilds. So anyway, that was that was the protocol. We took it down in that DLC. They captured it in Forbidden West, and then at a certain point, basically they need it to generate a ton of machines really, really quickly. So they have to kind of unleash it and give it its power back. And then of course after that, it's like nope, and it pieces out. So it looks like we're going to be chasing back it down. And it seems that Hephaestus has been busy because a lot of these machines do seem to have, if you've played the DLC, those machines have these demonic tendrils on them, which makes them unhackable, so you can't hack them. And it seems that these ones have that, or at least many of them do. And we also get to see a few new machines, so that's kind of interesting. So there is going to be a story campaign. You can play it either solo or co-op, and as I said, this is canon, but we're going to get back into that. Gameplay wise, it seems very similar to Night Rain. People have been kind of debating what it is, but if you've played Night Rain, it sounds very similar. I've seen a lot of people comparing it to Dauntless as well, but I think that has more to do with the art style, which again, we're going to get back into. But yeah, so there's actually 2 gameplay modes. One is called Machine Excursion, And this is kind of the Night Rain mode. So what you're going to do is you're going to have a big map, and you're going to run around. You're going to go out into the map. You're going to defeat machines, and as you defeat machines, you're going to get these power-ups. You're going to make yourself more powerful. They say there's kind of a roguelike upgrade system that we'll get into in a bit, but you defeat your machines, you get these power-ups, you make yourself more powerful, and the arena is slowly shrinking like in a battle royale. Slowly narrowing it down, and then, you know, at a certain point after you've defeated enough machines and you've become powerful enough, you fight some big machine boss, which is again like Night Rain, where I think you have 3 days, and at the end of each day you fight a boss, and there's a big boss at the end. So in Machine Incursion, it does look like it's going to be very much like Night Rain. Then you also have Cauldron Descent, which is going to be kind of your classic dungeon kind of thing. You're going to go in, you go into the dungeon, you fight through, you defeat a boss or whatever. You're given a choice of multiple paths. It kind of gives you a hint in what you might be in for if you go down that path. And it looks like some paths are going to be more combat focused, whereas other paths might be more puzzles or platforming focused. So that's kind of interesting that they're going with that. That is that they have 2 play modes. It looks like they might add more later, but they also say that the gameplay loop is that you go out and then you actually return to the Hunter's Gathering. So I don't know if there's kind of an overworld map as well as these mission types. But they say you go out, you upgrade your gear, you can tweak your loadout, or you go out and then you come back to the Hunter's Gathering, which is like a hub kind of thing. You can upgrade your gear, you can tweak your loadout, you can team up for the next hunt. So I don't know if that's kind of like where you can meet other players and form a group and head out, or if this is just some place that you can go in the middle of a mission. Didn't really quite say there. You have a custom camp that you can build in there, and you can kind of customize it and that sort of thing. So there's that. It also said that there's 4 environments at launch, is what the guy says, and then they show 5 pictures. They show jungles, they show plains, some mountainous areas, a snowy area, and a proving ground, which is 5 places. But he says there's 4. But then later on in the thing, they show a map, and you can select from 5 different maps. So I don't know if there's 4 locations or 5 locations. It might be that there's 4 locations in the test, but there's 5 locations planned for launch. Because there are some times where he says, you know, our first open playtest versus launch. So it might be that there's 4 in the playtest and 5 at launch. We're going to have to wait and see on that. But as far as the new machines go, in that map, it does show what, you know, you can click on one of the maps and it'll tell you like what are the big boss machines you can face here. And there's one, it says Thunderjaw, and then it says Dreadclaw. We've never heard of a Dreadclaw before. But the form of it looks like a bear, and that makes perfect sense because we do have Frost Claws and Fire Claws, which are variants of basically the same machine. It's just whether it's ice or fire, and the Fire Claw is slightly bigger than the Frost Claw, so I'm assuming a Dread Claw is probably a demonic version that's just bigger than the other 2. So it just seems to be a new variant on an older machine. We also see it looks like a bull. It's got like these big horns. It's got like fire coming off of it. So that's a new thing. Kind of looks like a Final Fantasy VII style behemoth, which is kind of interesting. There's something that looks kind of like a wolf. It's got like this mane looking thing on it, but it's made of ice. So maybe it's a lion too, but it looks a little sleeker like a wolf. And then we do have some Thunderjaw variants that we see that look slightly different. So they're probably the demonic version of Thunderjaws there. Now, one thing that's interesting is what a lot of people like myself were really hoping for was that we would get a Horizon game that would allow us to create customized hunters, that we could create our own characters, and, you know, we could do that. And in Steel Frontiers, you can, but which is the mobile version that's not coming to PlayStation. But here you can't. Here you have preset characters, and they say they will launch with a roster of hunters. They show 6 in the trailer. They say the first playtest will only have 3. There's Rim, who's a Banuk archer. You have Sun, who's a Karja, looks like maybe an acrobat or a rogue type character. Although it does say that in her classes it says healer and damage dealer, so maybe like a healer rogue combination. We know she's Karja because we can see her at the Sun Ring. And then there's Axel, who's very clearly an Oseram, and he has this rocket hammer that looks like something out of Battle Angel Alita, which is interesting but odd. And then also we see 3 other characters. One seems to be a 𝙂𝙧𝙢 with a grappling hook. Another one's an 𝙂𝙪𝙥𝙢𝙧𝙩 with a shield, with like an energy shield, and she just kind of like bowls people over. And then the last character looks to be, I'm thinking 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙥𝙧𝙩, but it's not quite clear. She might be a new tribe, but I'm pretty sure she's supposed to be a 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙥𝙧. And not quite sure what she is, because when she shows up, she's got one of the stalkers behind her, which are the stealth machines. So maybe she's another like stealth rogue class, or maybe like a pet class. But when we see her in other gameplay, she doesn't have a pet with her. So I do not know. And also the 𝙂𝙧𝙢 would probably be the people to have machine pets. So I don't really know what's going on there. Probably some 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙥𝙧 though. So yeah. And it says that each character is going to have multiple classes. So as I said, with Sun, they showed that she could be either a healer or a DPS. They specifically mentioned tank, support, and tactician are the 3 classes that they had. So I'm not quite sure if tactician's supposed to be DPS there. I don't know if that's what he's referring to. So you can pick your character, and then you can pick which basically role you want them to play. Not every character can play every role, but you can kind of tweak, you know, if I like this character, but I don't want to play a healer, I can play this character as this, which is kind of a cool idea. I do enjoy that. Yeah, and then as I said, like as you go through, you're going to be building that character. So you're going to have a set of abilities. When you change your class, you're going to have a different set of abilities. And as you defeat monsters, as you defeat machines, then you can get weapon upgrades, stat upgrades. You can get perks. So you might be more resistant to certain elements or that sort of thing. It seems like there's some sort of mechanic that when you do defeat a machine, if you get, it seems that you get 3 perks and you can choose which one you want. And it says it looks like you can re-roll them maybe, or you can turn them into a currency called Bright Steel. I'm not quite sure what Bright Steel is for. Probably something that you spend at the Hunter's Gathering to upgrade your characters. But because it's roguelike, it seems like these are not perpetual upgrades. Every mission you're going to start over at level 1 and then kind of go through it, which is kind of reminiscent to me of Battleborn and the way that that was done. So that's kind of interesting, I think, as well. Now, the reasoning for the new art style, and this is one of the things that turned a lot of people off, myself included, was that they said that they wanted to create a team-oriented game, and they wanted an art style that matches that energy. Now, I don't really think that that's necessarily the best excuse, because there are games that have more closer to Horizon style graphics that are team oriented. Steel Horizons is supposed to be. Monster Hunter's a little more grounded, you know, so I don't think that you needed that particular style. I think it has less to do with needing that art style, and I think it was more about branding, because to me it seems like they're trying to appeal to a certain player base that plays, you know, kind of MOBA style games, you know, Overwatch, Fortnite, you know, it looks a lot like those. It kind of looks like Valorant, maybe a little bit like Apex, or maybe people who are into K-pop Demon Hunters. This might be an appeal to a younger audience. But personally, I'm not a fan, because to me, it does feel very monkey see, monkey do. You know, we've seen other games that have this kind of like quick energy action, and they have that like very cartoony style. And it seems to me that they're like, oh yeah, we want to do that, rather than having enough confidence in the Horizon style that we can create this style of game with that style and still have that energy and that tone of Horizon. You know, it seems to me like they're like, oh no, we want people who are into a different kind of game to be pulled in. So we're going to shift tone away from Horizon into this new genre, and that shift in tone is what I think myself and a lot of people kind of have a problem with, because I think the idea of a Night Rain style Horizon co-op experience, I think that's a really good idea. I think that's a really solid thing, and I think that that could have worked in the same graphic engine or the same tone of Horizon. You know, I'm kind of upset with these preset characters. You know, a lot of, like I said, a lot of people like myself, we wanted to create our own characters. And I think you could have achieved this same class system with that. You know, like you could have used archetypes. I said before, I really hope that you could, you know, you could use the different tribes as archetypes. You know, like the 𝙂𝙧𝙢 could have been a pet-based class. Or, you know, more of a support type class, or, you know, the 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙥𝙧 could have been more about DPS or that sort of thing. So I think that they could have used the tribes as archetypes, and you could build your own character within that. So the fact that they are using preset characters like this, to me, that really feels like this is built with the idea of selling skins in mind. Like this is built around that concept of we're going to have it and we're going to sell these skins of these characters if you want them to look different. Don't create your own, you know? And to me, that again is a bit of a turnoff. And we do know that this is going to be a live service game because they have said that. And I think that this is also kind of exacerbated by the idea that the Hunter's Gathering itself is a Monster Hunter style hub. You want to go in there, you want to show off your character, but here you're going to be playing as these preset characters. There's going to be 5 more of you running around. So, you know, the idea that like you're going to want to look different. So it seems to me like less about like, oh, let's let you express yourself, and more about let's sell a bunch of skins. Also, in terms of the art style, I really don't feel that it fit the Horizon world. Horizon, I mean, yeah, you're fighting giant robots, right? Shaped like dinosaurs, but it was kind of grounded in its way, right? You're not like double jumping 50 feet in the air or that sort of thing. Here in this, we have people that are doing, you know, lightning power slides and doing the zip, 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 you know, and like shooting from all these different angles and zipping across the screen. Or the one guy turns on his rocket hammer and rides it around like a animaniac, you know, and there's a person charging through a group of enemies as they comically fly through the air like bowling pins, and people shooting laser beam magic, and, you know, these big heal fields and all that. And I think that's going to be very hard to reconcile with Horizon because, as they said, this is canon. So I think that's going to be very hard because you're going to have to, if you put these characters into Horizon 3, they are not going to be able to work the same way they work in this game. Their personalities are not going to make sense. They're not going to fit because these are kind of these goofy, cartoonish characters, and if you put them in a real world, it's not going to work. Yes, Horizon does have oddball characters like Bryn and Nil, but who are very goofy. But at the same time, in the game, they're treated as, this guy is insane. I mean, Bryn was drinking machine oil and stuff to get visions, and the guy is completely nuts, and it kills him. He dies because of it. Or Nil, who's just obsessed with death and wants to get himself killed, and everyone treats him like, this guy is nuts. This guy is not normal. But in this world, in this game, that kind of character is like, oh yeah, I could just eat machine guts and it's funny, ha ha ha. And I don't think that's going to fit. I don't think that's going to be working very well, because this does seem cartoonishly goofy, very tropey, which Horizon didn't seem to go for that as much. I will say, I have said in the past that I thought Forbidden West was going a little bit cartoony with the way they treated their villains, like they were just mustache twirling for the sake of being evil. But they weren't like zipping around, you know, like Luffy in Gear 5 or anything like that, which these characters are. So yeah, all that combined with it being a live service, they do say they're going to be adding adventures over time. And the fact that it is canon, and we do see Erend and we do see Aloy, you know, I think it's going to be, yeah, I don't know. How is this going to tie into Horizon 3? You know, like how much of this do I have to play when I jump into Horizon 3 and I'm seeing these things? I'm like, oh yeah, you know, like as somebody who's a Horizon fan, do I have to play this game to understand who certain characters are or what certain things are? It really seems like you do, because at the end of Horizon 3, they specifically said, we're going out to do this. And then this game seems to be that process. So it seems like we're going to be jumping in at some point, maybe after that. So if you really want to keep up, you do have to play this game, but it's a completely different game. So if you're a fan of the Horizon and that's what you want, that's not what you're going to be getting here. So we will have to wait and see. If you want to try it out, you can sign up for the PlayStation beta program. I'm signed up for it. You know, if I do get selected, I will play it. I will check it out. It is coming to PS5 and Steam, which is good. You know, it's coming to PC. That's cool. But overall, this actually makes me a little more excited for Steel Frontiers, which is the gacha game. Because I feel like that actually embodies the tone of Horizon a little bit better. So I don't know. Korean's got some thoughts too.
I do. I first saw this trailer, and then Adam Online was like, I know what I'll be talking about this week. And I hadn't watched the trailer at that point. I just saw it as, you know, if you do YouTube on your phone or YouTube on your computer, you mouse over and you can watch that really tiny version of a trailer. And that's what I was doing. I'm like, oh, this looks kind of cool. I like it. And then as I fully watched the trailer and I made some notes because I know Adam was gonna make this his big story. I was like, I should really watch this. And I watched this, I think on Saturday or something, and I actually sit down and I watched it and I paused it and made some notes and paused it and made some notes. And I mean, I liked it. It reminded me of Fortnite or Fortnite Save the World. I mean, that's not the best comparison, yes. If you're listening to this, like I listen to a lot of YouTube videos, you should probably pause and go back a few seconds and watch Adam's face for his expression.
It reminds me of other game, not game in the franchise it is.
I mean, that's fun because I think this is cool and it's colorful. And I know Adam made the point about the Horizon art style and that not reflecting, but sort of tying into the way the game's really a bit more based on reality. And I mean, it's nice that it's going to be different, you know, like I'm looking to do these crazy things in a co-op game. Like, yes, there were some crazy moves if you watch the gameplay. And the cool thing I like is in the trailer, like this is based on gameplay footage. I'm like, cool, I like it. So like this is the thing that I'm going to see, and it looks beautiful and colorful. And I mean, the best example I can think of is somebody's making like a Stardew Valley like game, but with like murder and stuff instead. I'm like, that's terrible. Like it's dark and gloomy. I want the bright art. And I mean, this is why I liked it as well. It looks really, really fun. And the thing that most attracted me to this is that as somebody who's, I think I only played Horizon Zero Dawn for an hour before, I just could not, I wouldn't say I didn't like it. I just wasn't in the mood for it at that point in time. And I just never got back to it. And I mean, over the years, I mean, Antoine played Forbidden West. Adam played Forbidden West. And I'm like, oh, I should really go back and check this game out. And then as our content creation journey became more and more crazy and busy and so many things going on, thank you guys for 2,100 subs as of a few days ago. But yeah, so I'm like, okay, I'm never gonna play this, but I do know, and again, in communities I participated and in friends I talked to who play games, like I want another co-op game to play with my friends, right? And especially the people post 30-ish, I find are people like, okay, I'm playing this with my friends. And like at the moment, I'm playing Soulframe with a friend of mine, but he does not like it at all. And this sort of ties into the whole, all right. Is this my upload or your upload that was paused?
I don't know.
I think it's probably mine because mine has a bit of a drop connection sometimes. That's fine. I'll finish uploading later. But yeah, no. I also gave us 20 minutes for this. So I will round up by saying that like I'm excited for this. I think I get where Adam's coming from. That it is such a vast departure from the franchise and stuff. But for me, as somebody who needs more inventory of co-op non-PvP games, I think this is going to fit the bill. I think it's going to be fun. I know very much that like people like my older brother will not play this because I've tried to say, hey, let's play these cartoony style PvE games in the past, and he's like, what? No, this is for kids. I'm 43, he's 53. So I know definitely some people will not play this, but I am looking forward to it, and I hope Adam will also play this. Maybe we can play this together.
Like I said, if I get into the beta test, I'll try it out. But I mean, like, this is kind of my point, you know, like you're saying like, oh, I'm not into Horizon. Horizon wasn't for me. I wasn't interested. And then like, so you're not a Horizon fan. And then, so this game is made for non-Horizon. It's a Horizon game made for non-Horizon fans. Which is like, why? You could have made a new IP. If you had made a new IP, I probably would have actually been on board with it. But the fact that you're taking Horizon, something I love, and you're shifting it in tone and you're completely changing its identity, that to me is like a betrayal, you know. And as I was saying before too, this, I don't think, a lot of people are like, oh, this is just hate, you know. I don't think so. A lot of people who were Horizon fans we're happy with Horizon Lego. They liked Lego Horizon. They thought that was a really cool idea. But here's the difference. Lego Horizon was not canon and did not impact or change the Horizon universe at all. This, they're saying, this is canon. This is part of Horizon. And it completely shifts the tone. Completely. You know, like, yeah, yeah, I think that's for me is the big thing is they're just completely abandoning the Horizon tone. And it's just like, this is not the same franchise anymore. So
I mean, see, do you think they'll like Horizon Forbidden Virginia? I don't know, whatever the next game is.
Not Virginia. They're not going that direction. They're going further west.
um,
Maybe northern Canada, but
yeah, like, will that be in this cartoon style? Is that what you're worried about?
Virginia? No.
I mean, like, no, I mean, like the third single player Horizon game, because they do mention it at the beginning of the video. Like, yes, we're still doing single player games. Are you worried that they'll just drop that sort of?
Oh, no, no, no,
more
no,
than-
no. I am very confident the third game will follow the same style as the first two. I am very confident in that. I do not think they're going to do that. But I do think that it's going to be very hard to reconcile these two vastly different worlds. The fact to say that they're the same world. Because I think if you take a character, like for instance, the rocket hammer that the guy is riding around on, there is nothing in Horizon remotely like that. And then here they're introducing it, and it's like, if I saw a guy surfing on a hammer in Horizon, it would feel like they jumped the shark. It would just not fit. You know, it's kind of like, yeah, it'd be kind of like if Superman suddenly gained the power to launch his eyeballs out of his head like a cartoon character and paint on the wall, and then people can walk through it and they're like, going forward, this is Superman. And it's like, no, that's not, you know. And then like, yeah, it's like, it's the same reason a lot of people hated was it Man of Steel, where he kills Zod, because they're like,
Yes,
that goes
yes.
completely
we
against
had this argument. I
that
remember.
goes completely against what Superman stands for. But the appeal was a lot of people like these darker, grittier things, and they like these morally gray areas where it's like, if he didn't kill Zod, Zod would have killed a lot of people. A lot of people wanted that, you know, a lot of people like that, and a lot of Superman fans are like, no, this is garbage, because that is the antithesis of what Superman is. That's kind of how I feel with this, is that you're taking the tone of Horizon and you're completely shifting it into a different direction, that the two things cannot be reconciled. It has to be one or the other, but you can't have both existing. And that's kind of where I feel.
Okay. I figured this is probably going to be on the we must cover this sort of game regularly series. So I think we'll have plenty of time for discussion.
I will play it. And that, again, if they had just said, like, because, you know, like they did Killzone before and they were like, we want to try an action oriented game, and then they went to Horizon and a lot of people were like, why didn't you make a Killzone game, you know? And they went to Horizon. But I love Horizon. I think it's great. If they had just done like, we're trying a new IP, we're gonna have 3 now, we're gonna have Killzone, we're gonna have Horizon, we're gonna have this new one, I probably would have been on board, you know. But the fact that this is supposed to be Horizon and it no.
All right, on that note, to sort of fill out the newsletter for this week and other stories as well, I want to talk about the end of the Outer Worlds 2, because you guys might have seen I did release some footage on the channel and the videos were like, okay. I think one of the reasons for that is like, the team at Obsidian allowed a lot of like big name media outlets like IGN to sort of play and talk about the aspects of the game quite early before the game actually came out. I think it was November or end of October last year. But I mean, overall, like when I played the second game, I didn't feel like I was fighting for anything. And I finished the second game. I played like a path, and the second game is supremely repeatable, much more repeatable than the original game. That's because they have the system, like as you're doing things in the game, you're like, oh my god, you crawl a lot, like now you have a bonus for crawling, but there's a negative side for this crawling. You aim from the hip a lot and now you have a bonus for this, and it was cool. That system was really cool. And then I finished this, and then I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna play this again, even though it is very repeatable. So I kind of feel sad because I love the first game. The second game I enjoyed a lot. It was fun. The weapons were great. The game looked good. The new perk system was fun and awesome. And definitely, if you were looking for a game to play over and over again, this was definitely one of them. So it's a shame that it didn't sort of meet Obsidian's goals. I am sort of happy because in that same announcement, like, yes, they're still gonna do something else with Avowed. Because I felt like both of those games sort of got the short end of the stick, is if that's what the expression is, I don't remember. In that sense, where they're like, Avowed was like, oh my god, it's made by this lady Carrie Patel. Oh, there's lots of LGBTQ representation stuff, and we're in this sort of culture war in the state of the world at the moment between the right and the left, which is a shame because we need more inclusivity and things. But that's my opinion. So it's a shame the game sold well. And again, this is not the only thing. I think we had maybe Adam talked about this as well. I feel like last year where one of the Final Fantasy VII's sold really well, but not well enough for Square Enix. So maybe this goes down to corporate expectations as well. But yeah, I'm sad to see that there's not going to be another Outer Worlds. Maybe we'll get like a redo of the franchise in another 10 years or something when we're now older gamers at 50 something. But yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of like with Dead Space, the Dead Space remake, and it did really well, and a lot of people were like, "This is great, we love it," and then they're like, "Oh, it didn't make as much money as we want, so we're not going to do the second one." And everyone's like, "No, please make the second one, please, please, please," and they're like, "Nah, it didn't make enough money." It's always sad to see a franchise die like that, where it's like loved by the fan base and people are super happy with it and want to see it continue, and the company's just like, nah, it's just not profitable enough. No, it's not. It is profitable, but it's not profitable enough. It needs to make more money. So that is always super sad. That one thing that I do love about Sega is Valkyria Chronicles does not make a ton of money, but every now and then they'll just be like, it's been a while, let's just make a new one. Like they kind of like, if we got nothing else to do, you guys want to work on it in your side time, go ahead and do it. So we don't get them that often, but we do get them occasionally. So I would like to see something like, I haven't played the Outer Wilds, so I don't have a horse in this race, but I would love to see more just like, let's just do something for the fans from time to time. We could do our, between our big AAAs or whatever, give me another Dragon's Dogma DLC. I don't need Dragon's Dogma 3 just yet, but I would love to get a DLC, So hopefully these projects don't get completely abandoned. So.
Totally agree. And on that note, tell us about State of Play this weekend, what you're hoping for, what you're expecting. I mean, again, it was just announced, so Adam is not psychic and he's not linked to the head of PR in Sony headquarters. So,
I wish. That would be awesome. Got the guy on my speed dial. No, and I just now realized too that whole time I was talking about Horizon, I just completely forgot to show the trailer. So I was just,
it's okay.
I was so focused in the moment that I totally forgot to hit the button. But yeah, no, the State of Play was announced. It's coming February 12th at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Pacific time, 5 p.m. Eastern. So that's going to be like 6 a.m. Taiwan time, which is kind of sad because I never get to watch these things live. But it's always nice because I wake up and it's like, oh yeah, get to watch the whole thing. It's supposed to be over 60 minutes long. It's going to be over an hour, so a pretty long one. We had one on February 12th last year, so it's kind of interesting that they're doing it on the exact same day. I don't know if they've always been doing it on February 12th, but yeah, that is interesting. They do say they're going to have news. They're going to have some gameplay updates, so games that are currently out, who knows? Maybe I'll get my Dragon's Dogma DLC. And they're going to be announcements from game studios. They're going to say they're going to have some third parties, some indies, and some of the teams at PlayStation Studios. So it looks like we might be getting some new games. As to what to expect, I know a lot of people are actually expecting Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 to get announced. That would be super exciting for me. Because I mean, they just dropped Final Fantasy VII, was it Rebirth or Remake on Switch? Switch just got, maybe it was Remake, but they just dropped one on the Switch. They added that new mode that makes you invincible, which kind of tempts me to go back and do some of the, and finally platinum it because I can cheat now. So thank you. So I am tempted to go back and do that. Gotta get my platinum on it. And they dropped that on all systems. So that's on PlayStation. And apparently they just announced that there is going to be a permanent price drop. So that's cool. So a lot of people are speculating that, there's a lot of Final Fantasy VII Remake going on. Maybe Part 3 is about to be announced. That's a big, that's a lot of people's expectations. I've seen a lot of people expecting possibly Death Stranding PC version being announced, which would be a Death Stranding 2 PC version being announced, which would be awesome because Death Stranding is pretty good. It wasn't as good as I shouldn't say it wasn't as good. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. A lot of the mechanics were a lot better. I personally just didn't feel as attached to it as I did in the first one, on an emotional level. But still, it was still a great game. Had a great time playing it, and really hope that PC players can get a chance to check it out. I don't think we're going to get anything on Horizon Hunter's Gathering, because I think if they were going to announce it, they would have just announced it at the State of Play. The fact that they announced it like a week earlier, to me, makes it seem like maybe they wanted it to stand out more and have its time in the sun. So they announced it early alone. And then, because I think that probably if they figured if they announced it during State of Play, it probably would have been not overshadowed, but subdued due to a bunch of other announcements. So I don't think they'll be talking about it at the State of Play. That's my guess. But yeah, otherwise I have no clue what we might see. Maybe Pragmata. I mean, they've had a demo out for a while, so maybe we'll see more on like when that's announced, when that's dropping or something. As I said, a Dragon's Dogma DLC would be amazing. But yeah, and and a lot of people, myself included, would love to see either a Final Fantasy 13, the trilogy remastered. A lot of people have been asking for that for a while. Or you know, maybe some Drakengard. I've seen a lot of people recently asking for Drakengard 3 to be remastered, which would be awesome. Which is kind of a well, it's not a prequel. It came first, but it is a predecessor to the Nier to all of Nier. So yeah. So I don't know. I would love to see that. I don't think we'll see that, if I'm being entirely honest. But I think our safest bets are actually probably the Death Stranding PC announcement and Final Fantasy 7-3 Part 3 announcement. I don't know if we're gonna get those. I'm like, oh, will we get those? I don't know, maybe 20% chance. But out of everything, I feel like that's the closest I could get to an accurate prediction. So looking forward to it. February 12th. Yeah, check it out live or watch it later like I'm going to, because I'll be asleep at that time.
I mean, right in time for Lunar New Year at this side of the world as well. So I feel like a lot of stuff, a game that I'll be playing coming this week, Stars and Island, is launching on February 12th as well. I feel like quite a few things this side of the world. And yeah, I mean, as much as I know of the Sony universe, and again, all, through, I forgot, what is that expression? Vicariously living through Adam's Sony PlayStation life, is that I totally agree with his expectations for a Final Fantasy game. Death Stranding PC makes sense given what happened with the original Death Stranding and the Epic Store and that releasing and the timelines there as well. On my side, my other story I wanted to talk about today, which is actually not about parkour. I just realized that it's totally about Assassin's Creed Shadows not getting a co-op mode, which I thought was really interesting. I was talking about this with my friend Hans the other week because we tried to play an Assassin's Creed game. It was Unity, right? And that was, I believe, was the first Assassin's Creed that allowed you to do co-op. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. This was a long time ago. Like, if you go back, Assassin's Creed franchises, Unity must have been 10 years ago, maybe. Again, don't quote me on that. But it was one of the games, and again, with a lot of like Ubisoft games that were coming out, that from that point and going forward is like these sort of games and these massive open worlds allowed you to do co-op, but only allowed you to do co-op for activities. So like, I remember we wanted to do a Far Cry co-op, and the Far Cry co-op was the very same thing. Like, you couldn't experience the story together. You couldn't do story activities together. You had to say like, okay, let's assault this base together, which is, again, it's kind of cool, but it's sort of like a weird experience. Again, I mean, going back to Hunter's Gathering and stuff, is like, when you play a co-op game with somebody, you want to do everything together. I had the same problem with Monster Hunter, not Wilds, the one before that.
World?
Yes, where you could do activities together, but you couldn't participate in the whole world together. I mean, that's at least how I understood it on PC. Again, I played this with my younger brother who had played Worlds and was like, oh, let's give this a try. And so I find there are some multiplayer games that do this sort of like, okay, let's do co-op together, but it's not really co-op because you can only do the side activities together. So coming back to Assassin's Creed, so no co-op for Shadows, and again, this sort of makes sense because Shadows had a lot of PR about it and a lot of people talking about it, good and bad, and especially with Ubisoft's restructuring and stuff. Why I chose the story is because I still hope we get a co-op, like purely co-op Assassin's Creed game where we can be two assassins doing everything together, experiencing the story together. Where, you know, when you do an activity and there's a cutscene, you see two people in the cutscene as opposed to the person the cutscene is about. I hope that comes back now. If I'm not mistaken, right, Tencent now owns the Assassin's Creed franchise. Is that correct, Adam?
Yeah, what
Because
was it? It wasn't like they own it. They like get a section of the profits, or yeah, I don't know. It was, I don't remember exactly.
so I feel like it was something along the lines of like now they have a say or something. Maybe this is just the profits, but I hope we'll get something co-op-ish in whatever the next Assassin's Creed is going to be in pure co-op. I still want to play Shadows, and I say that about a lot of games. Hopefully that will actually happen at some point. But yeah, what do you guys think? Would you like a purely co-op Assassin's Creed, where as you can do co-op from beginning to end of 60, definitely more than 60, 100 hours of Assassin's Creed? Let me know.
Yeah, so let's see. See. Yeah, I'm looking it up. It basically says it doesn't mean any other IP. Something about they own. Oh, they like co-own Vantage Studios or something like that.
I remember seeing something along that lines as well.
Yeah. So yeah, so actually Assassin's Creed I guess is not under Vantage Studios, so they wouldn't
Okay,
necessarily
so
have
it
a
would be
direct
purely Ubisoft again.
result on Assassin's Creed. Yeah, I mean on Shadows I kind of get it. I mean it seems like that would be the perfect, you know, like, hey, this game is specifically designed with two separate characters, right? It would make sense. But at the same time, I mean, the two characters had completely different skill sets. So if you are having one character as an assassin and one character as, I guess, a brute is what you would call it, you know, just kind of a warrior, but, you know, smashing in doors and stuff like that, the gameplay would be kind of, I mean, that actually could be a very interesting experience if you have two players that are going after, that are trying to solve a problem with two vastly different concepts, where you could have one guy be the distraction and the other guy be the infiltrator. That could actually be very interesting. But I think the way the game is set up, you know, they would basically need an entire overhaul. You would need a game that was designed for that from the beginning.
Yep.
You know, whereas here it's like, okay, you can do the mission this way or you can do the mission that way. So if you're doing, yeah, so if you're doing the mission, you would have to do either Yusuke's mission or Naoe's mission. And the other character would not be adept for that mission. So I think this would be, yeah, I think you would have to basically build a game ground up to be designed for that. So I do see why they would make the decision like, yeah, this isn't really going to work so well for this particular game. So
Yes. And you have a possible last bit of news with Helldivers?
yeah, I don't have a video for it, but Helldivers just announced that the cyborgs are back. We've had the automatons for a while, who were kind of the stand-in for the cyborgs, but now the cyborgs are officially back. They are part of the automaton faction. In fact, they are the ones behind the automaton faction. So we're getting 3 new units. I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but one of them is kind of a leader unit where they take control of the automatons and they command them. So they're going to have like their little posse following them around and whatnot. There's another unit that's going to use cyber kung fu. So they show him, he's got like a big gun arm and he comes running in and then he just does this like roundhouse kick and whatnot, which is kind of odd. It doesn't, I don't know, like tonally, again, it doesn't really fit, but I mean, Helldivers is so absurd anyway that it's kind of like, so that one's really odd. And then, and also too, like, you know, the automatons are all Terminator looking things. This guy's all fleshy. But if you played the first game, they're in the first game. So, you know, they're not like a new unit. They're just a returning unit. And then the last one is this huge tank that has multiple parts to it. So it's got like the Gatling cannons and big cannons, and it's basically just a massive tank. And it's actually kind of interesting because it's got these two treads and it sits up really high. So I think the way you're supposed to take it out is actually to run under it and stick something up underneath it, and then so it's kind of interesting. So yeah, we got 3 new units that are coming to the automatons. Although, or maybe they're the cyborgs. I don't know, but they're coming to them. So yeah, if you're into Helldivers, now's a great time to jump back in. And now, any time is a great time to jump back into Helldivers, but now's a great time. We got some new units and whatnot. So yeah, they've been adding units for a while. I mean, the bugs got some new units not too long ago. I think what they call it, a Hive Lord or something like that, or a Brood Lord. And then they have the Dragon Roaches. So it's cool that they're adding more units to these factions. So keep things fresh. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
I mean, that's one of the games I regret not playing. I remember I bought it because Hans wanted to play it, and we played it probably 3 or 4 times, and we've just never gotten back. But I'm like, I've heard so many good things, and I had fun when I played it. I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to play it again, which is kind of sad.
Yeah, Helldivers is the definition of good, dumb fun. Like, I don't need something deep. I just need to pull a trigger. So it's really fun for that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Turn your brain off and just scream at the screen.
It was good. Cool. Let's talk about your Reddit short first.
Yeah.
And let's do your ranking. And then we'll see if we have time at the end. I might throw in my Terraria story. So Adam, what is the mechanic you've seen that made you think every game should do this?
So in Soul Sacrifice, like many games, it has kind of an encyclopedia. You can go through, you can read the lore on this enemy or that character. Lots of games have that, but one thing that Soul Sacrifice did is, and granted they had a touchscreen so they could do it, they had links like Wikipedia, where if you're reading a lore book and it mentions a place, or it mentions another character, or it mentions a specific type of monster, it'll highlight for you, and you can click on it, and it will take you to that entry in the encyclopedia. And it was really great because it is like Wikipedia. You could just go down a rabbit hole. I really wish a lot of games did that, because sometimes like you're playing one of these games like a Final Fantasy or something, and you have 50 guys in history, or like there's King Rognus Thorius and King Thorman Gregorius, and I'm like, oh wait, which one's which? I don't remember. So having that link where you click it and it's like it takes you to that page, that I think is really great. I wish a lot more games had that sort of thing. I think Final Fantasy 16 might have had something similar, if I remember, where you could like click a button and it would bring up a page to explain things to you, if I remember correctly. But one thing I haven't seen in the game, I also have an extra one that I haven't seen in the game that I would love to see. As a content creator, chapter select is great, but I would love just kind of like a content creator mode where you could just go through and just watch all the cutscenes, or just like skip, the gameplay and just like skip to a specific part. Not because I want to skip the game. No, this should be a new Game Plus feature. You should have to play through the game first to get it. But this would make my life so much easier to get content. Because as it is right now, like if I'm playing Stellar Blade, I have to play through the whole game and record everything, because I don't know when I'm going to run into somebody. And then later on, I have to sift through 60 hours of video trying to find what I'm looking for. If you had some sort of mode like that, where you're like, let's just go straight to these cutscenes or straight to these conversations and just port around, that would make my life so much easier. Yeah. But again, I love that unlock it in New Game Plus. Do not put it in the base game. Unlock it in New Game Plus. Yeah.
Because I think I've complained to Adam, like I record everything in 4K, but the problem is like Soulframe 4K videos are 55 gigabytes for 1 hour. So every 1.5 to 2 months, I have to copy stuff off my hard drive onto a larger, slower hard drive. Then when I need to look for footage for stuff, I have to copy. I'm like, okay, because I can't actually access those files on the slow hard drive because they're 4K. They will not play on a hard drive. I have to guess. I'm like, okay, let's copy this on. Hopefully I have enough space for 300 gigabytes of videos again. And it just takes so much time and it's so irritating. But I mean, that's sort of the standard of video today.
Yeah. I mean, we have photo mode, so why can't we just have content mode?
Yeah, no, exactly. Exactly. I mean, we were
Yeah,
making content to promote your game. I mean, we get some ad revenue or sponsorships or something like that. Yes, but
yeah.
like this just gets more people to be aware of your game.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah. Again, I'm saying don't undo the gameplay. Make it so you've played through the game once, and then when you're going back, you can go back and do it. Um, and not just for me. I feel like that would be useful for a lot of people. Like a lot of these lore video people, they have to scour through this game, and they're like, oh, I have to find where somebody said this, or where was this book? Like you have to find it. I think it would just make content creation so much easier. And it's just a tool. It's just a content creation tool. Something that you could share. Or like, for instance, you're like, oh my god, I saw this really. There's like this great scene from this game, and I want to share it. In the same way that people share photo mode stuff. Yeah, I think it would just be great. I don't need
Perfect.
it, but it would make my life easier.
No, totally. All right, sir, let's jump straight into your ranking video.
Is this like a 1, 2, 3, or is this like SA?
We'll continue to do the SAF.
Okay.
So
Thank
S to F.
God, because I'm like,
Yes.
oh no, the other one's so hard.
S to F as usual.
I
I
can feel
mean,
comfortable
we'll
with
see. Like, let's see how this sort of works and changes view wise anyway. But I mean, last week's video is only coming out today, so let's see how this one does. So these are RPGs that respect your time. Again, up to your interpretation of what that means to you. The way it's going to work, as usual, right? I'll give you a game. You can rank it S to F, right? So S, A, B, C, D, E, F. F totally sucks. S is awesome. If you want to add something like, okay, this game should be after that game in the ranking, you can do it like
A
what you
plus,
want.
A minus, B plus.
Yeah, like what you did last time. Like again, that's totally fine. After you talk, I will be silent for a few seconds because sometimes I talk over you, which makes it harder for me to sort of edit it. So I'll be silent for a few seconds. So this might take longer than usual. Not like the other ones. Like last week we did better. Last week's video was 5 minutes 30 seconds better than the other one, which was 7 minutes for a ranking video. Okay. So let's start. First one is Persona 3 Reload.
I have not played Reload. I've played Persona 5. I want to play Reload. But Persona in general, I would say is an A. They are very, very long. So if you're the kind of person who's like, oh, I want to, like in that sense, they don't respect your time. But they do have the day system where you can only do certain things throughout the day. So there's always a progression forward. You can't just go off the beaten path and get distracted by something. So I think it's an A.
Okay. Triangle Strategy.
Triangle Strategy. I would again say maybe like A minus. I mean, you can probably just play the game. There's no random battles, so you can probably go through and play the just the story, and you'll probably be close to level, and not have struggled too much. However, if you want to get the upgrades and stuff, you do have to play. You do have to grind a lot to get materials, and there are no random battles, which means you're playing the same thing over and over and over again. I'm going to put it a B. I'm going to bring it down a rank.
No problem. Genshin Impact.
Genshin Impact. It's been so long since I played Genshin Impact. It's a gacha game. Oh my god, that never respects your time at all. I'm going to put it at I'll put it at a C because I don't remember it too well, but those kind of games are always super grindy. So, and then also I hate the idea that like, oh, okay, you've gotten all the materials you can for today. Sorry, you can't play anymore, or you can play, but you're not going to get any benefit out of it. No, that. If I have an extra hour, I want to get something out of that extra hour. I don't have to wait till tomorrow.
Fallout 3.
Fallout 3 is just like a standard game. I'll give it I guess a B? B minus? Yeah, I mean, it's just a regular, you go through, do what you want. If you want to get distracted, get distracted. If you don't want to get distracted, keep going forward.
And correct me if I'm wrong, right? This would be the part 1 of Final Fantasy, which would be in remake.
Final Fantasy 7 remake?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be part 1 because the second is
so
Rebirth.
Final Fantasy 7 remake.
I'll give that one an A minus. It's it does move pretty forward. There's no real big open world that you can go off and get distracted in. Everything kind of self-contained, so it does it is pretty streamlined. So I do feel like there was always more progress. You couldn't just and there's no going back and forth like, oh, okay, you know, I've progressed here, now I got to go back and I can do this. So I would say, yeah, A minus, yeah.
Dragon's Dogma 2.
Dragon's Dogma 2 does not care about your time at all. You can do whatever you want. It's a yeah, B minus, I guess, because you can easily get distracted. Oh no, wait, actually, because in Dragon's Dogma there's no fast travel. So yeah, we're gonna drop that down to a C plus because I like it. But yeah, you know, really, if you have to run everywhere, is that respecting your time?
All right, Ghost of 𝙬𝙧.
Ghost of 𝙬𝙧. Let's go with a yeah, like a C plus, maybe B minus, somewhere around in there. We'll say C plus. Yeah, I mean, there's fast travel. You can go through and do whatever you want. If you do want to build up your power, you do have to do a lot of this side content because it's not leveling by just fighting. It's leveling by completing content. So you do have to complete a lot of side content if you want to unlock everything. So yeah, C plus, I guess.
Our most well-earned money game, Stellar Blade.
Stellar Blade. B. It's pretty straightforward. Although there are some quests where you have to run around and it's like, oh my god, I have to find something in this desert. But for the most part, it's pretty streamlined. Yeah, and it's a short game. It's like 30 hours if you're goofing off.
Horizon Forbidden West.
Horizon Forbidden West. Let's put that at I guess a C. You can go off and do whatever you want there. So yeah, it's like any open world game, like a Skyrim. Does that respect your time? It's more of a question of, do you respect your time?
I love that. That should be a short. Pal World.
Pal World. I mean, okay, I felt Pal World was a bit slow because I was like, okay, I built this. Now I want to progress, but I have to go out and grind and grind and grind. So in that sense, I would put it down to a C. But you can change the settings to increase your experience so you do level up faster. So I'm going to put it at a C+.
Okay. And we're done. So just to remind you, Persona series, we'll go with an A, Triangle Strategy B, Genshin Impact C, Fallout 3 B, Final Fantasy 7 Remake A-, Dragon's Dogma 2 C+, Ghost of 𝙬𝙧 C+, Stellar Blade B, Horizon Forbidden West C, Pal World C+.
I'm gonna drop Genshin Impact down to a D.
Got it.
But otherwise, yeah, I don't feel like any of those are S rank. Respect your time.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean, that's going to be very different. I'm still waiting for you to give something an F, but I'll find some.
No, well, okay. So for me, something in an F, it would just have to be abysmal and unplayable. You know, and I'm like, I don't want to do that to a game. That's just so sad. Yeah, that's just so sad.
No problem. I mean, people loved your last ranking.
I'm trying to think of a game that would be an S rank for respecting your time, though, because I'm the kind of guy who goofs off. So for me, it's perfectly fine to be like, hey, don't respect my time at all. I don't know. Maybe like an old platformer, like Super Mario or Sonic the Hedgehog.
Like an RPG game that would respect your time. I would say, there's that game I played, 𝙬𝙧𝙢𝙧, which allowed you to choose the length of your dungeon. So it actually had a time limit. And for my version of respect your time, was like, this is how long this is going to take. And if I had 15 minutes to play, I'm like, I can do 2 5-minute dungeons or 3 5-minute dungeons. Oh God, yes. That would be, for me, that would be an S.
Okay, yeah. If you could say like, okay, I have this much time, I need to do something. But like, cause yeah, like if you're in a normal game, you're like, okay, I need to do this next dungeon, but your average dungeon is 30 minutes. I only have 15, so I'm going to do some side content. You're not making or I'm just going to go grind for a bit. You're not really making progress in those 15 minutes. But if you could have something where you're like, okay, I'm going to shorten this, so I'm still going to be making progress. I'm just not going to make that much. Yeah, no, that would be pretty respectful of your time. Yeah, or if it was something like maybe, I mean, not an RPG, but like something like. Was it Suda 51, like Lollipop Chainsaw, or
yes, you talked about that before.
Yeah, like Lollipop Chainsaw, or probably Romeo is a Dead Man. Those games are pretty linear, so I would say like something like that actually respects your time because you can't run off. Just like keep going. You know, every step you take is closer to the finish. Yeah. So, I mean, that's my definition of respecting your time. Because like for me, like, I mean, I could have gone the other way and said like Horizon or Skyrim are 100% respect your time because it's as fast as you want or as long as you want. So it respects your time at an equal amount that you respect your own time. So I mean, in that case, but that would be a completely different ranking. But to me, that's a different definition of respect your time. So I could definitely see where people would move things around depending on how they define respecting time. Because in that case, then I would say like a Persona game too could probably be an S rank, because it's like, yeah, you can never not make progress. Everything you do, if you're like, okay, I just like, for instance, you're like, we have a day, you have morning, evening, and night. What do you want to do in the morning? Okay, great. And what do you want to do in the afternoon? Great. What do you want to do in the evening? Great. Okay, now it's the next day. So there's always progress. You can't just be like, I'm going to goof off for a half hour, because if you goof off for a half hour and you say like, okay, I'm going to go to the batting cages, that takes up a section of your day. You are progressing whether you want to or not. So in that sense, I could see where people would say a Persona game is super respectful of your time, because it will not let you not progress, or it will not let you dilly-dally. So
Yes. Oh, got my voice. Adam, before we end up today, next week is Chinese New Year here in Taiwan, and I know our viewers, fans, members, whatever you want to call them, have not seen you stream as much as you'd like to, I'm sure, because you're going through gaming withdrawal, as I would be if I was in your situation. Next week, will you be streaming a little bit more, or just about the same? Because I mean, you're sort of like, you don't have class, but you still have class.
I don't have class. I still have my class that I'm taking, and all my
Yes.
classes that I'm teaching. But that is being replaced with familial obligations, which
Of course, yes.
may actually be more time intensive than my regular classes. In the sense that it's like, okay, you know, we're gonna go off to my brother-in-law's house at and then we're gonna be there until 9. You know, I mean, it's not work, right? But I'm not gonna have I'm not gonna be at home to do, you know, I'm gonna be on a schedule in a sense. So yeah, I don't know if I'll be streaming more or not. It'll depend. If I wake up and I don't have something immediately to go to, like if my wife's not like, you know, because sometimes it's like, okay, we're meeting my family for breakfast, so we have to be out by 10. If that's the case, no, I will not be. If it's like, oh yeah, we're not doing anything, we're meeting them tomorrow at 2 p.m. Yeah, sure, I'll go and, you know, maybe stream. So we'll see.
Cool. I mean, with Chinese New Year, do you think you'll make some progress in Triangle Strategy?
I might make a little bit, yeah. You know, I might make a little tiny bit. I got to play a little bit yesterday, so
Nice.
yeah. I finally switched it. I was playing on normal mode, and I switched it to very easy. Not because I was struggling. I'm still doing all the story content on normal mode, but I'm doing the side, like I said, in Triangle Strategy. Like, it's like, okay, you need this many high quality stone to upgrade your character's next ability. And it's all cumulative, so it's like it's like if he has 4 abilities, the first ability takes 3 stone, and then the next ability is going to take 6 stone, and then the next ability is going to take 10 stone. So they progress, yeah. So it doesn't matter which one you select, it's always the first one's going to be 3, the second one's going to be like that. So so I was like, I'm just gonna switch it to very easy so I can just burn, because there are no random battles. I'm doing the same battle over and over and over and over and over again. So I'm like, I'm just gonna do it so I set it to very easy so I can burn through it super quick and get resources super quick, because otherwise it's just
Nice.
kind of like,
Makes sense.
this is just slow and tedious, because I'm already like level 48 of 50, you know, only 2 levels away. So it's like, okay, the only thing left to do, you know, because the enemies are gonna be matching my levels, the only thing left to do is just to max out the character. So yeah, so I did some of that and grinded a few materials out.
Sounds good. Then thanks for filling us in. Then are we still recording next week, Tuesday then? With
I think so. Should be okay.
Cool.
I'll let you know if we're not, but it should be okay.
Perfect. I will keep fingers crossed. Thank you, as always, everyone, for tuning in. As always, check us out on 3 channels: Threads, Instagram, and YouTube, Facebook, apparently now as well. Check Adam out on X, and then we'll see you guys next week. Regardless of it, we'll still have at least one video one video. We'll still have the usual videos coming out. It just might mean no live stream, and Adam will just record his own content in his own time. But then thanks guys as always, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. See you later.